this shit crazy how this shit go. Like I know they gon' hate me for being real, but I know they gon' love me for making it through.
Ever since I've known you, you've been like the quiet type, but that one that's gonna show you a lot of moves, less talking. So like, I remember in high school, like you was the man, like selling sidekicks.
That's ninth grade, yeah.
Gummies, had a whole team,
Yeah.
doing production. So like, before you went to prison, like, how was your life before prison?
Let's see.
Like, what was some key moments?
I think for me growing up, you know, watching my dad and my mom hustle in the streets, I kind of took a heed of that. I was always the kid that would be watching. When I was with my dad, I rode throughout the city, and he'd be making his plays, and I'd always be the kid that'd be sitting on the couch, just observing, you know. And so, fast forward, when I got to middle school, I felt like I embodied that. I started just selling candy. I used to sell just anything I can get my hands on, really. And then I'll never forget ninth grade. That's kind of like how I got a name for myself. Shout out to Mexican E and Sean. They had came to the block one day, and Sean was like, "What's up, man? You think you can move these?" And he had 4 boxes of the sidekick. This is like 0203. This is like the Excuse Me Miss video when Jay-Z came out with the Excuse Me Miss, and he had the sidekick.
It was that black and white boy?
It was a black, this was for the color joint. This is the black and white boy, and he was like, "Could you move these?" And I was like, "Yeah, for sure." And I'll never forget, I went to school, and like the first day I was just sitting at lunch. I waited till lunchtime too. I waited for the perfect moment to pull it out. And I was sitting on the bench, and I whipped it out, and after that it was over, because then everybody started surrounding me like, "What's that?" It had really never hit the scene. Nobody really had seen it. Even the Jay-Z Excuse Me Miss video haven't dropped yet. So when I whipped it out, I guess everybody was kind of like, was in tune, because they had never seen it before.
So you was doing marketing back then too?
Yeah, I was definitely calculated.
That was marketing right there. Whip it out. I know there's people gonna buy it.
Yeah, they was in tune. Everybody like, "What's that?" And then at the time, Instant Messenger was hot. Mm-hmm. And so instead of, everybody was like, had no kids and all that other shit.
It was like the new form of texting.
Yeah. And so I'm at lunch, and I'm on Instant Messenger, and after that, everybody was like, "Bro, how can I get one?" And I had some in my locker. I had 3 in my locker. He gave me 4. I kept 1, and I had 3 in my locker. And then after that, I'll never forget, I sold those 3. I called him. He bust me down. You know what I'm saying? We had a little
How much were they back then?
I was calling them burnouts, and I was charging $350 for them, and then he would let me keep $150.
Ooh, so they was going to their parents getting $350.
That's crazy.
They had $350 on them, because that was a
I knew it was a blessing.
lot of money back then.
It's crazy though. When you think about it, in high school, I don't know how we had money, but that was just niggas had money. I don't know how niggas had money, but niggas was definitely
saving up them $20.
Yeah, I moved them 3 within like 2 days. I'll never forget that. And then we broke the bread down, and then after that, he gave me a couple more, and then it was crazy because, like, I don't know how niggas got my number, but I'm talking about Westchester, Lusinger, Hamilton, Morningside. Niggas is just like, "Yo, you the nigga that got the sidekicks? Bro, I need one. Whoop-de-whoop. Like, I got the bread." That's why I always, and it's crazy fast forward, that stuck to me though, that's why I had this theory that I had now, is when a product is hot, you ain't really got to speak too much.
You just got to whip it out.
You know what I'm saying? When it's hot, it's hot. And I learned that from those moments in 9th grade. It's like, I ain't really have to do too much talking. You know what I'm saying? It was just like, it is what it is. That's the price. And so I was moving them. And then from there, and then after that, I was already selling the candy, but everything just turned up after that. Cause then it was like niggas, I was just the go-to for whatever was hot. Like I had anything new that was dropping back then, I was in tune. Clothes wise, I always been like ahead with that, and so.
Yeah.
But that's how I got my name in the streets, was definitely the sidekick.
And then came the gummies.
Yeah, the gummies came, but it's crazy.
That's the whole operation right there.
Yeah. What's crazy about the gummies though is that, you know, I really used to have, so every night I used to bag up like 300 bags of gummies, right? And then early in the morning, I used to get to school early because I had 3 people that I would distribute. So I give you 80 bags, I give you 80 bags, and I give my man 100 bags. And by the end of the day, man, we would bust it down once again. And it was like, I'll never forget, I was making so much money. I was working too at this place called the Teen Center. And I'll never forget, I was making so much money. One day, my boss, we had this little office. And I'll never forget, Aramis, she walked up and she saw me counting the money. So she was like, G, when you done doing what you doing with the, come to my office. And she made me sit there and she was just like, how much money you make off selling that candy? And I told her, and then she was like, she already knew how much money I was making from the job. And she was like, look, G, you making a lot of money. And she gave me some advice at the time that I couldn't even understand, but she was like, look, just be smart with it. Because at the time, every week I was buying, you know, I had my own whip. At the time, I had an apartment.
You had them shoes. You stayed with them shoes.
I had shoes. I was spending money every week, like, but just being a little bit more in tune now is just like she was giving me game that I couldn't even see. I was in my flow though, you know what I'm saying? I was living. And so, yeah, that's kind of how that went down. Yeah, the gummies, I made a name with that too. Like, they put me in the newspaper at the school.
Bro, I remember people selling the gummies. They used to roll around with like a rolling backpack, and they'd whip it out the rolling backpack.
Yeah.
But bags of them, like it was going down with the gummies.
Yeah, I had like 3 lockers.
Gummies had an air.
Yeah, for sure. I had like 3 different lockers. In the morning, I'll get to school early. I'll put 2 bags in this locker, and then I'll put 2 bags in this locker, just because I didn't want the shit all in one place. Then I had my young niggas who knew the code. They'd go get it. It was an operation for real. Like, back then, I learned supply and demand at an early age. It's all about having a hot product and finding demand, finding a want. And so that's kind of like my early introduction to the game.
And that was years ago.
Yeah, that was
like,
what, 03?
You true to this.
That was like 02, 03. The sidekicks was like 03, 02. No, really 03, yeah.
The sidekicks was busting.
Yeah, so.
There's levels to this shit. In this game, I'm a vet. Came in this game with some money and an image.